So first of all, Happy New Year, everyone. We have four agenda items, just a president's report, treasurer's report, presentation by the bylaws committee on the bylaws update, and then our nominations chair will introduce the slate for 2022, and we will take a vote on that as well. With that, let's get started. If you could kindly mute yourself if you're not talking, that'd be really fantastic. Thank you so much. So I hope everyone's New Year has gotten off to a great start. Thanks to everyone who joined us for the January 6th Vigil and Rally for Democracy, and special thanks to Councilman David Cohen for his excellent speech. I also spoke at the event. Shout out also to our advocacy committee for all their support in ensuring a successful response from all of you, our Pcdo members who are so engaged and committed to our democracy. We also had a holiday drive this past December, so a huge shout out to Liz Cohen for leading that. And we decided to send donations directly to Homefront and Housing Initiatives of Princeton, which were the top two organizations that you all had voted for and that we collectively had voted for. And so while we don't have a tally of how much we raised, since we sent the donations directly to the organizations, we're hopeful that the drive had a good response. As this is my last meeting as president, I wanted to take a moment to thank everyone who has supported my leadership of the Pcdo in so many different ways, which ultimately led to a successful year for the Pcdo despite the challenges presented by the pandemic. A huge shout out to Owen O'Donnell, Jean Durbin, and Joe Butler, who offered guidance and support whenever I reached out over the last year. So truly grateful to all three of you for ensuring a smooth transition. Special thanks to everyone who worked with me to ensure a very successful endorsement meeting, including Bill Schofield, John Durbin, Jean DeVoe, Sam Weiss, Denny Velasquez, Patty Soul, Raisa Ruben Stankiewicz, Paul Gilmore, Tim Quinn, Joanna Doherty, Patrick Simon, Peter Wolanin, David Cohen, and Pcdo member Perry Jones. And finally, of course, Pcdo's past presidents, Owen O'Donnell, Joe Butler, and Jean Durbin. And from a very successful endorsement meeting to a very successful election, where all of our Pcdo's endorsees won. This would not have been possible without the amazing Jean DeVoe, our VP of Elections. Thank you, Jean, for this heavy lift despite tremendous challenges. I also want to thank Owen O'Donnell for taking the lead in organizing Pcdo and PDMC's joint election night at Conti's. He did an incredible job. Many thanks also to Tommy Parker as PDMC chair, and to Patty Soul for all their leadership and amazing work during this election cycle, this past election cycle this November, and especially for election night as well. They've done an incredible job and have been great partners for the Pcdo this past year, and excited to continue working with all of them in their new roles. And shout out to Sam Weiss and to Nick DiDimizio for all their leadership and support of Pcdo's election-related activities as well. A huge shout out to David and Liz Cohen for leading Pcdo's annual summer picnic, and many thanks to everyone who assisted with the picnic, including Maureen Quap, Jane Manners, Owen O'Donnell, and everyone who helped with that incredibly successful picnic. A shout out also to Christopher Stonich for leading our fundraising efforts this past year, and to our ad hoc fundraising committee, which included Liz Cohen, Jean DeVoe, Nick DiMizio, Denny Velasquez, Sam Bunting, and myself. We raised close to $2,000 to donate to our endorsees in the election, and so many thanks to all of you. Special thanks to Denny and Nick for the excellent job as treasurer and assistant treasurer. They've both done a fantastic job throughout the year, and I always look forward to their great monthly reports. I'm also very grateful to Peter Lindenfield for his great job at recording so perfectly and reporting on all of our meetings. You're an institution, Peter, and I'm so very grateful for all your support this past year. A special shout out to Joanna Doherty for her diligent work as our corresponding secretary. Thank you for an absolutely stellar year of service to the Pcdo and our community. Another huge shout out to the amazing Raisa Ruben Stankiewicz for her leadership of our newsletter, and also to Patty Soul for assuming that role once Raisa started at university. You've both been doing an excellent job. Thank you so much. And many thanks to Patty for her excellent job with all of our social media platforms. Truly grateful for her leadership there. Tremendous gratitude to Bill Schofield for all of our communications and leadership and for his commitment and dedication to all things PCDO, especially our website and membership management platform, Club Express. Thank you, Bill. So grateful to you, and many thanks to Nick DiMizio and Denny Velasquez, John Durbin, Joanna Doherty, Patty Saul, Jane Manners, Abby Rose, and Sam Bunting for assuming many of these responsibilities as Bill transitions on. Kudos to the amazing Sam Weiss, who was a fantastic elections chair to work with this past year. Also, we had a really great and innovative programming. We had really great and innovative programming this past year, thanks to our programming chair, Tim Quinn, and the programming committee, which included Jeffrey Oakman, Mia Sachs, Liz Lempert, Dina Shaw, Michael Floyd, Raisa, Ruben Stankiewicz. Thanks so much, Tim, for your leadership, and everyone for a year of great programming. Special thanks to Jean Durbin for coordinating our November program with our police chief, which was a very important conversation for our community. A huge shout out to our most active committee, the Advocacy Committee, led by Liz Cohen and Doja Hammond, and some equally great, amazing committee members, Patty Soul, Tommy Parker, Raisa Ruben Stankiewicz, and Michael Floyd. Thank you for your stellar commitment to our democracy and the most pressing issues of our time. We also all owe tremendous gratitude to the amazing Bernie Miller and Owen O'Donnell for their steadfast commitment to and leadership of our bylaws committee. You will hear from them a bit later, but I want to take this moment to acknowledge that this project took a tremendous amount of time, dedication, commitment, and attention to detail. And thanks to Bernie and Owen's leadership, we're reviewing them today with recommendations from the bylaws committee to the board and our members. Many thanks also to all the bylaws committee members, who include Joe Butler, Jean Durbin, and Mia Sachs for their steadfast commitment and input into this important project for the PCDO, and also to our executive board for making the time to offer invaluable input into this process. Also, this will be Bernie's last meeting as a PCDO board member, and I want to take this moment to thank him for his tremendous commitment to and leadership of not only the PCDO, but also our Princeton community. Thank you, Bernie, for all your many contributions in service of our democracy and democratic ideals. Many thanks to John Durbin for all his leadership of our membership committee and our membership drive. John has been an incredible source of support and guidance for me in my role as president, and I'm truly grateful for that. Also, I want to take this opportunity to thank our nominations chair, Jeffrey Oakman, and committee members who included John Durbin, Liz Cohen, Patty Saul, Heather Howard, and myself. I'm truly grateful for their tremendous dedication and commitment to ensuring strong leadership for the PCDO in 2022. Thank you sincerely. A big thank you to all of our elected officials for all your leadership in Princeton and Mercer County, and for all your service on the PCDO board. Thank you to Mark, Letitia, Dwayne, Leighton, Mina, Michelle, David, Eve, and Andrew. I'm sure for your leadership, support, and guidance this past year. And finally, a big thank you to all of you, our members, for being committed to and engaged in our democracy, and for your support in our work to advance democratic ideals. This past year could not have been a success without all of you. Although I've served and serve on a number of boards, it has truly been an honor and a privilege for me to lead the PCDO this past year because of all of you. All of your commitment to the PCDO, Princeton, and our democracy never cease to amaze me, because this is the only all volunteer run organization whose board I serve on, and I'm blown away by the countless hours that all of you devote in service of our democratic ideals. Thank you for this opportunity to serve the PCDO and our community. I'm truly grateful. Could we get a round of applause for our incredible board? Thank you, thank you. All right, and now on to the treasurer's report. Denny, this will be your last treasurer's report, where you share year-end financial statements and also our budget for approval by our membership. Thank you for your tremendous leadership. You've done a fantastic job, been a great partner. Truly grateful for you. And with that, you have the floor.
Thank you, Afshin. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your leadership as well. Hope everyone has had a good year so far. I'm not able to share my screen at the moment.
Yeah, I just gave you access.
Okay. So I want to share my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. So first thing I'd like to present is our 2021 financial report. So we're going to look at last year's financial report. And after that, we'll go over the 2022 budget. So this is a monthly report, a monthly breakdown of both our income and our expenses for the year. Here you can see our total income was just under $11,000 and our total expenses were just over $11,000. So our net income for the year was just negative $300. Just one big note that we had this year. In October, we contributed over $4,000 towards our successful state elections, Democratic state elections. And you can see one of our largest expenses for the year, aside from the campaign contributions, is the expense for Zoom, where we've been meeting over Zoom since the pandemic has started. That's our main mode of communication on our monthly meetings and our board meetings. So that's our largest expense for the year. Can I answer any questions about the 2021 financial report? Okay. So let's look at the 2022 budget. And the 2022 budget, you'll see it lays out the same as the monthly financial report that I just presented. And what I'm showing here highlighted in yellow are some of the differences in either the income or the expenses from what the actuals that we had last year. This year, we're budgeting a $2,500 fundraising campaign in the month of May. So our total income budget for the year is just over $11,000. And one of the largest expenses that we are budgeting for, but may not incur any expense for this coming year, will be room rental. As I mentioned, since the pandemic, we've been meeting with Zoom, and we've had a $2,000 expense that we've been incurring for Zoom, which has been a new expense for us over the last couple of years. The room rental that we used to have meetings for was about $2,000 a year or so. And we're budgeting for that just in case we were able to start meeting again this year. Now, please keep in mind, when we put this budget together was about 2 months ago. So we weren't sure where we would be at this point in time in the year. So we may or may not incur this expense, but we did budget for it. So our total income budget for the year is just over $11,000. Our total expense is just over 14. So our net income at the moment will be a negative $3,000. But as I mentioned, we don't expect to incur this full $2,000 this year. And at the end of the year, our estimated bank balance will be about $10,400. And that's always our goal every year, to end with about $10,000, which covers most of our yearly operating expenses for a year. Can I answer any questions about the budget?
Danny,
So I
Danny,
think Ross
Ross
has
Wishnick. Go ahead, Afshin, I'm sorry.
yeah, I think Ross has a question, which is how many members does PCDO have? I know when I checked that last week, John Durbin informed us that we had 340 members at the end of our membership drive for the annual reorg meeting. And that is typical for this time of the year. Denny, do you have an update on those numbers by any chance?
I don't. That's the last I looked at it right at that point in time as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Denny, I'd just like to point out that this is the first year that we've gone where we've eliminated dues for membership. And I think it's a real tribute to our members that they contributed so mightily. Really very much on par with what we've received in previous years. So thank you all very much for that.
Excellent point, Owen. I think our membership is very generous. They understand that it's a club. We do have operating expenses, and we do like to support our candidates for office. And our membership does come through. There's no requirement, but I think The generosity of our members shows through in their contributions. Appreciate that.
I'll echo that. Thanks. It's been tremendous to have the support of our members throughout this past year without any membership dues, where there was no requirement to contribute. But all of you gave generously. Truly grateful for all your support of our work and in support of our democracy. Any other questions on the budget? Okay, so with that, can I get a motion to approve the budget?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
I think those were all ayes for all in favor. Okay, any opposed, any abstentions? All right, great, thank you. So the budget for 2022 has been adopted. Thank you, Denny, for all your fantastic work as treasurer. Looking forward to Nick's leadership ahead as treasurer this coming year, and truly grateful to our membership for all of your support of all of our activities. We've had a strong financial year, which would not be possible without all of you. All right, so moving right
Thank you.
along. I'm going to hand it over to the bylaws committee, to Owen and Bernie to lead that discussion. And once again, a tremendous thanks to Owen and Bernie for all of their leadership of the bylaws committee, not over this past year, but really over the past couple of years, to ensure that this project was done, for all their dedication of time and commitment, and to Joe Butler, Jean Durbin, and Mia Sachs, who were part of the committee as well. And thanks also to our executive board, which, who really took all the time to review the bylaws and offer input into the process. And finally, thanks to all of you, our members, for being so invested in this important work for the PCDO. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Owen and Bernie to present the updates to the bylaws, and then we'll open it up for questions. We will not be voting on the bylaws at this meeting. This is just a presentation and an opportunity for you to ask questions, and then we will actually vote on them in the February meeting. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Owen and Bernie.
Thank you, Afshin. As Afshin indicated, this has been a rather lengthy process. In August of 2020, the executive board had a very extensive discussion about the perceived barrier to membership created by requirement in our bylaws for dues. And at the conclusion of that discussion, it was generally agreed that the bylaws had to be revised to remove any reference to dues so that they were not perceived as a barrier to membership in PCDO. At that point, an ad hoc committee was formed by volunteers. The volunteers were Joe Butler, Maria Sachs, Owen O'Donnell, and myself, with the president of PCDO serving as a member of the committee. And I'd like to make note at this point that this was very much of a team effort, led in many respects by Owen, and where we were dependent upon Owen for his depth of knowledge about what had been PCDO practices over the years, and even more importantly, what existed in the New Jersey Administrative Code, so that we did not get ourselves tangled up in code issues. When we started out to review the bylaws to take out references to dues, we realized that as a political club, we ran on money. Money was our fuel. And not only would we have to recognize that we were taking out dues as a barrier for membership, but we needed to present the executive board and membership of the club with alternative ways of raising the funds, and that those alternative ways ought to be embodied, at least to the extent of saying that there are alternative ways in the bylaws. I'd also like to extend my thanks to Sam Weiss, who helped us greatly when we got to the point of discussing endorsements and succession, and made major contributions in that area. Following Jean, Joe Butler served as president, and Joe participated both as president and as a member of the ad hoc committee that was working on the review and revision of the Constitution and bylaws. Not only did we find that as we went through the bylaws, that the dues were pervasive in many sections of the bylaws, but we also found that there were other issues that had to be taken care of in the bylaws. We went through the bylaws very thoroughly and made them gender neutral. No more his, him, all entirely gender neutral from start to finish. We clarified succession issues and clarified how we would do endorsement. As Afshin indicated, this is being presented to the membership tonight for review, and the membership will have an opportunity to review it over the next month or so and vote on the bylaws at the next meeting. And at this point, I'd like to turn the discussion over to Owen, and Owen will help us understand from the top down what has been done to the Constitution and bylaws in the review and revision.
Thank you very much, Bernie. I really appreciate it, and to everybody who contributed. Yeah, I'm not going to go through the entire document word by word. That would just take way too long. As you can tell, first of all, I hope everybody has received the document and has taken a look through it. We tried to do a side-by-side comparison so that you could see where the changes were implemented, what sections were taken out of the old bylaw made. If anybody has any questions about that, I'll give you information about how to reach out for us. However, there were many wording changes, slight wording changes, again, related to the finance, to removing mention of dues and incorporating new wording. There were also quite a number of areas where we cleared up ambiguities to make sure that the bylaws read the way that the club wants to operate. So again, I'm not going to point out everything, but I do want to say, first of all, that any suggestions, comments, or questions, please send them to me at owen@princetondems.org, and I'll be sending out an email tomorrow asking our communications team to send something out to the entire membership so that even people who can't be here tonight have a chance to weigh in on this. And again, as Bernie said, the process is that tonight we present the bylaws changes, and at the next meeting we can discuss and vote on them. But I would like to be able to send enough information out to everyone about suggested changes well before that meeting, so that we can really just address the main issues that are at hand. So thank you very much. And with that, the first thing I'd like to do is move ahead to Article 6 on the Executive Board. And what we did in this section, we added a new Section 9 that gives responsibility, kind of codifies responsibility for, oftentimes we have fellow organizations that we are often in work in conjunction with, who ask for our support for either, for instance, the Rally for Democracy. And sometimes this happens in a time frame that doesn't allow for the entire executive board to meet. So we created a smaller committee composed of 4 of the officers of the club, as well as the advocacy chair, in order to evaluate our stance on this, on the particular ask in that case, and then vote among themselves as to a yes or no, and then inform the rest of the membership that this is going on. So that's a new section that we have added. And I should add that we also added a part that this process cannot be used in order to endorse any candidate or to make a financial contribution to any cause. So I think that's important, that if we are asked to do that, that still goes through either the executive board or the membership as a whole. So that is one. The next major change that we did was in Article 7 on vacancies. And again, there has been a longstanding agreement among executive board members that if they declare for a rate that they're going to run for public office, that they step down from the executive board. Now, part of this reason is since the executive board decides the endorsement process, we don't want to give the impression that we're favoring one candidate over another by making them part of that decision-making process. So it has been codified here that a member who declares for a race will temporarily recuse themselves from the board and can come back, and it stipulates the circumstances under which they can come back. And we've also added that this applies to school board races as well, if people want to run for school board. And one of the reasons for that is we really want to maintain a strict compliance with the nonpartisan nature of the Princeton Public Schools elections. So we don't want to give any impression that we're putting our finger on the scale for any particular candidate or cause with that. So those are two major. The next major section that I'd really like people to kind of focus on is the endorsement for candidates for public office. That's Article 9. What we've done now is set up a committee to formulate the rules for the endorsement meeting. And I think that will be very helpful. And there are a number of ways that we can do that. And it also clarifies some of the various things that the committee should look at, such as whether to use a ranked choice or a block voting method of election, or and a lot of it still relates to the separation between an endorsement and a support and getting support for the group. So I hope that people will take a look at that. Again, at the end of Article 9, we again added a section on the school board elections that will remove the Pcdo from supporting any candidate as an organization. Of course, individuals are always free to support whatever candidate they want, but just as an organization, we really want to maintain that strict nonpartisan nature of the board. Article 11 is on finance, and of course that has a large rewrite to it, since this was the impetus for the entire review of the bylaws. And one of the major things that it does is it clarifies the rules for the treasurer to follow in creating the budget and possibly fundraising, any fundraising measures. And it also allows for the appointment of an ad hoc finance committee to assist the treasurer in that. And that is something that's new. And I think that's going to be something that's that could be important down the line. You know, as we mentioned before, the generosity of the staff of the members has been tremendous over this past year. But there may come times where we want to maybe increase our political contributions to candidates, our candidate contributions, and we'll just need to raise extra funds for that. And so the treasurer and this ad hoc committee would help to figure out what are the best ways in order to do that. One of the final points that I really want to point out is in Article 12 committees. We've had 6 standing committees traditionally. We have added 2 new standing committees. And this is important because the chairs of standing committees are automatically members of the executive board. And the two that we've added are, we have formalized the advocacy committee, which is really a new committee. We never really had a formal advocacy committee, but under really the leadership of Liz Cohen and Dozier, they've really, and a number of other people, I don't want to leave anybody out, but they've really jumped in, and especially in these trying COVID times, have done a tremendous job in making sure that PCDO members are aware and that the organization is supporting the right kinds of organizations. And whether it's a rally or a campaign to contact our elected representatives, they've really been behind this. So we thought that was a very important new committee to add. And the second one is, again, sort of an ad hoc committee over the years, which we've had, but it really speaks to the essence of the organization itself, an elections committee, which would have a chair that would work closely with the candidates for who are running to represent Princeton, and again, work with them and make sure that the membership is aware of the various opportunities that are available to work on campaigns and support our candidates. So really, those are the major points that I wanted to point out. Again, please, if you have time, review the bylaws changes before the next meeting. Send me at owen@princetondems.org any comments or questions or suggestions that you have. And again, I'll follow up with an email for that. And all comments will be addressed. And they'll be disseminated by email so that everyone knows what has been raised as part of this. And just lastly, I just really want to again thank the committee. I want to thank Bernie and Jean and Joe and Mia and am I missing anybody there, Bernie? I want to thank Sam Weiss for his contributions when it came to the nominations, and I want to also express a great debt of that gratitude to Afshin for all of her support as we were working through this and for answering questions that we needed. Finally, I do want to thank the executive board as a whole. We went through the changes. They had lots of great suggestions, both large and small, a lot of wordsmithing, but a lot of major substantive changes. So I really want to thank them. And I just want the membership to know that, this has been reviewed a couple of times now, but now it's up to you to take the final look at it. And at the next meeting, I hope we'll be able to make a vote on accepting these changes. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Owen. Owen, Bernie, can we open it up to questions in case our members have questions about anything that was presented or any of the updates?
Absolutely.
Sure,
Great.
go right ahead.
So the floor is open for questions, clarifications, comments. Okay, seeing none. Thank you so much once again, Owen and Bernie and Joe and Mia and Jean, for your tremendous leadership of this really important project for the PCDO. Truly, truly grateful. And thank you to our members for your contributions to this process, and looking forward to wrapping it up with a vote at the next PCDO meeting. All right, moving right along. I am going to invite our nominations committee chair, Jeffrey Oakman, to introduce the slate for 2020. I want to thank Jeffrey for his tremendous leadership of the nominations committee and all of our committee members, who included John Durbin, Liz Cohen, Patty Soul, Heather Howard, and myself, really for recruiting a very strong and diverse leadership team for the PCDO in 2022. I think this is probably one of the most diverse slates in the history of PCDO, if not the most as diverse. And kudos to this team for your commitment to diversity and inclusion and equity. And so excited for this new leadership team. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jeffrey.
Thank you, Afshin, and welcome everybody. Thanks for joining tonight. And thanks for everyone who's been part of the board and will be in the future. I think I would echo Afshin's appreciation for everybody's work over the last year, and also reflect back to her everyone's appreciation for Afshin's leadership of this organization over the last year. It wasn't an easy one, as we all know, as we've still been fighting the pandemic and not being able to meet in person. And I think, in talking to many of you, and as we worked on the nominating committee slate, I mean, clearly one of the things that I think everyone's excited about is both hopefully being able to get back together in person this year soon, and also just to sort of be reminded that there's a really important election coming up this year. The off year election for Congress, and I think that this organization always plays an important role in central New Jersey and beyond in organizing for the national elections. And so appreciate everything that folks did on the state elections this past year, and looking forward to another busy year as the elections seem to not stop but only become more meaningful every cycle. So thanks everybody. Looking forward to a great year here, and I want to say, like, Afshin mentioned diversity as an important goal that we had in trying to recruit for the slate, and I think that we're very, very honored and proud to have a diverse slate here to vote on this evening. So I'll just mention who's on here. I know everybody received the bios in the email before, and so I don't want to spend too much time, but I do want to mention everyone and thank them for stepping up in these leadership roles. First as president, we have Tommy Parker, who I know everyone knows and is an amazing leader throughout his tenure in the community, and I think also really brings together the Pcdo and the municipal committee, which he has been a past chair of. And so I think we're really looking forward to working closely with those organizations as we advance the goals of the party under Tommy's leadership. So thank you, Tommy, for stepping up to play that role. As first vice president, we have Jane Manners, who's a returning board member, and looking forward to her strategic leadership as well. And as second vice president, we've got Denny Velasquez, who has done a great job as treasurer, and will be really helping out around the operating aspect of the organization, and also on the membership element as well, which we'll get to in a second. But thank you to those three people for stepping into those important roles. As treasurer, Nick DiDemizio, who's been assistant treasurer, is going to become treasurer, as you heard earlier. Thank you, Nick. And for assistant treasurer, we have a new recruit, Arifa Kandwala, who will be joining the board for the first time. So excited to have her on board. A couple of real veterans are returning as corresponding secretary. We've got Joanna Dougherty. Thanks for coming back and the important role that you play. And Peter Lindenfeld as recording secretary. As Afshin mentioned, is both an asset and an institution here in the organization. So we're excited for that. So thank you all. That's the leadership group, and then we have up to 12 at-large reps on the board, and so So we have 10 of those positions to be voted on tonight, and a couple that remain open that can be filled by by the president, as we go forward. So the at-large reps are Michael Floyd, Liz Cohen, Sam Weiss, Dozier Hammond, Sam Bunting, Akbar Khan, who will be joining us newly. Keena Lipschitz is also a new member. Dina Shaw, Abigail Rose, and Nate Howard, who is joining us newly and bringing a new generation of Howard family to Democratic leadership. So thank you all for stepping up for that. And then the last piece that I'll mention, well, I guess there's a couple other a couple other groups here. The committee chairs, Owen mentioned a couple of new standing committees that would become new in the bylaws change. Under the current bylaws, we have 6 standing committees, and the leadership of those committees also have a position on the board ex officio. And so those are the membership committee, which currently I mentioned Denny Velasquez is going to be taking the leadership of that. If we part of the reason that there's a couple of open positions is that people who step up to volunteer can potentially become part of the board. So that is a place where theoretically someone else could become a head of that committee and join the board going forward. And that's also the membership committee is going to be working closely on our diversity recruiting. So it's a possibility to kind of to add additional diversity to the board down the road. The nominating committee is going to be taken over by Lance Liverman. Thank you, Lance, for taking that on. Logistics and events has been ably led by Maureen Quap for a number of years, and hopefully, as Denny mentioned earlier, we'll be able to have some in-person events where we'll be able to benefit from her work there more than we can on Zoom. I'll be chairing the program committee, Jeffrey Oakman, for the next year. Website and publicity, we're really appreciative of Felicia Spitz taking that on. And I think Afshin mentioned that a number of board members are going to be sort of helping with the work of the website and communications, which, so much has been done to set us up in a position to be more effective and active there. So thank you, Felicia. And Joanna Dougherty is going to be, again, chair of the archives committee. There are 3 non-standing committees under the current bylaws: local issues committee, which is an open position, but leadership of that would not convey board membership. The elections committee, which will be headed by Sam Weiss. If the bylaws change, that would be a standing committee. And similarly, the advocacy committee, which is co-chaired by Liz Cohen and will be co-chaired by Liz Cohen and Dozier Hammond, as they essentially have been this year. Again, that's in the bylaws to make that a standing committee. And then last but not least, certainly, are our ex officio members who are elected officials. I think that everyone knows them, and we welcome their input all the time, and the kind of the updates that we get at the board meeting each month. So it's really great to have their regular involvement. As mentioned earlier, Owen O'Donnell would be on the board ex officio as the chair of the municipal committee. The municipal committee first and second vice chairs will also be on the board. I don't believe that those spots are filled, or maybe they're filled temporarily. But whoever is in those positions will be on the board. And then our council members, our mayor, county officials who live in Princeton, and our immediate past president obviously will be Afshin. So that is the board slate for for this 2022, and I believe that the process is to ask for a motion to accept the slate and a second that we can vote on, unless others want to tell me otherwise.
That is the process. Thanks so much, Jeffrey, once again for all your leadership of the nominations committee, and to the entire nominations committee. So grateful for all your diligent work over these past several months to ensure continued strong leadership for the PCDO. With that, can I get a motion to approve this 2022 PCDO leadership slate?
So moved.
It's like,
Thank you. Second?
Can we have questions, please?
Sure. So let's get a second and then we'll open it up for discussion. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All right. The floor is open for discussion. Surinder, do you have a question?
Yeah, first of all, Shane, thank you, great job. And congratulations to the executive board. I do have questions when we talk about diversity. And I looked at this slate. First of all, I know Jeffrey is a tough job to be a nominating chair. I know that because I'm in the nominating chair at Princeton Senior Resource Center, how hard it is to reach out to people, find the right people, and so on and so forth. One thing I like to sort of say, and in a positive way, like you to understand, the 15.4% or so population is of South Asian community, and majority of them is Chinese and Indians and others. And when I looked at this slate, I don't see that diversity in there. Honestly, I don't. I like you guys to understand that, please. One community of South Asian doesn't represent the whole South Asian. I understand that, and it's a tough job. And I wish, you guys have reached out to other people to say, hey guys, you have been here for a while. You have been contributing to the community, to PCDO. Hey, will you like to serve? We didn't get anybody. I don't see any other names of any other South Asian community. So it doesn't make it a diversity just because we are saying it is diverse. I really like you to think about it, and please take it in a positive way. Trust me, it's a tough job to be a nominating chair and get the right people, but I don't understand that it really represents the community that PCDO serves. Any organization, whether it's a governing body or a business, should represent the community it serves. It should really represent a true diversity, not just because couple of names of one particular communities doesn't make it diverse. Let's make it really diverse in future. And I understand it is hard to achieve these goals, but I'm also happy that, we are bringing some people of other community into PCDO, and we need to continue to do that. If we really want to be diverse, then we need to do that. I like you to think about it that way, and I appreciate that, and thank you for listening to me.
Thanks so much, Surinder. You raise a very valid point. Our leadership team should be reflective of the diversity of our community, and I believe we are making strides in that direction. So this year, there's a real commitment, as in previous years, to try to recruit a really diverse team. But you're right, we could do greater outreach, we could strengthen our processes and ensure even greater diversity. One thing I did want to let you know is that there are actually 3 South Asians on the board of the PCDO this year, between myself and Arpa Khandwala and Akbar Khan. But you're right, we should strive for greater diversity and even greater diversity among the South Asian community members represented. Thank you so much for raising that important point. We should always strive to do better, and our diversity strengthens us and makes us stronger. So really appreciate your input. Jeffrey, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I think that I would agree with what you said, and just a couple of things to add as well. I mean, I definitely hear what you're saying, Surinder, and I do think that that is one of the benefits, I guess, of having a couple of spots remaining open, is that I think, to some degree, if we have not succeeded in bringing in groups of representation that we need, we have the ability to do that going forward, and I think that your comment is very well taken. I would also say that I'm not making excuses, obviously, but like I will say that one of the things we don't talk about in this conversation is who all we discussed with, tried to recruit, and we're not in a position to take this on. I think it's important to remember that as Afshin said at the top, that this is a very active board, and it's all volunteer, and so I think that there's a lot of people who would be interested in being part of this, but for whatever professional, personal, family reasons are very reasonably not able to take this on. And so I think that, like, there's the result that this slate is the result of many conversations with many people who aren't represented here for one reason or another. So I guess I would just remind folks that that's also happening. I guess I do see Sam's hand, Sam, Lance, and then Yan Mei Wang. Sam, go ahead.
Yes, hi, Jeffrey. I just wanted to ask, is it too late to nominate anybody else? Because I think there's a couple of unfilled positions and also people who might be interested in serving.
The bylaws don't support nominations from the floor, but those positions are available to be filled, by the president going forward.
Yeah, so I'd suggest that if anyone is interested in those two vacancies that we have, that you reach out to Tommy Parker, and who's shortly going to be the new president of the PCDO for year 2022, and that you let him know of your interest, and then let the leadership team take it from there. Lance, you also have your hand up.
Yes, I was going to suggest that I guess two things. One is I hear Surinder loud and clear. Surinder and I are friends. I know Surinder. I hear him loud and clear. So if I am nominated to be nominating chair, I would love for Surinder to serve on that committee to help me find folks to fulfill that position. Second, I also saw Dina Shaw's response in the chat room, and I would like to follow up on that also. That's all I have to say.
Thanks so much, Lance. Looking forward to another great leader for our nominations committee. Truly grateful for your leadership and stepping up into that role. Yan Mei.
Hi, I want to about the diversity of South Asian or Asian in general in the leadership team. I just want to give a number, a data to support for us to have a comparison in the sense that the age percentage of the Asian population in Mercer County has increased by 5% in the last 10 years. And right now it's 15%. So if you look at the, say our leadership size is about 20 people, and we have 3 of them that's Asian. So we are on par with the demographics. That's what I just want to offer some data.
Thanks so much for that data point. Really appreciative. And looking forward to working with you in this coming year as well. Grateful for your input. Dina?
Hi, Lance. I think I suggested it at the executive board meeting, but I'm just throwing it out there so everyone can hear this. I think it's important that if people run for school board, even if they run for council and they don't win, that we work on bringing them into the fold. I know someone's asking if Jeffrey is a Democrat. I have no idea. He may have been nonpartisan, but maybe we invite him and we hear his views. He had a strong following in our town. So it's just a thought, and Lance, as we're looking at broadening out our landscape over the next couple of years, people who put their time, energy, and effort and finances into trying to represent, to help whatever part of our community they think they want to. We have 57 people on this call, 340 members out of 9,000 Democrats. So I think we have a potentially long and a wide road to expand. Anyway, thank you.
Thanks so much, Dina, for your suggestions. I'm sure they'll be taken into account by our new nominations chair and also by our new leadership team. Truly grateful for your leadership on the board as well. You've been fantastic to work with. And Jeffrey, did you have anything you wanted to add before we go to vote?
No, I appreciate the comments, and the ongoing interest in diversity. I think that today's conversation is just additional reminder that this was sort of top of mind for us as we went through this process, and again, to the extent that that there are groups that are underrepresented, I think that that hopefully we can, our diversity recruiting process can help bring those voices to the fore, and potentially bring additional folks onto the board to share those views.
Thanks so much, Jeffrey, once again for all your leadership. Fantastic job that you and the nominations committee did. Truly grateful. All right, so with that, we have a motion on the floor to approve the slate. And can I get all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? All right, the motion carries. Congratulations. Before I hand it over to Tommy, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge Chairwoman Janice Mirnov, who joined us for tonight's meeting, who's provided tremendous leadership at the county level and has been a fantastic partner for the PCDO to work with, particularly in this past election cycle, where really spearheading a coordinated campaign and coordinating our efforts with Mayor Mirnov and her team. Just want to take a moment to thank her for our partnership, her leadership, and with that, I want to offer a big welcome to our incoming leadership team. Tommy, I'm really excited about your leadership of the PCDO and look forward to supporting you and the entire PCDO leadership team in my capacity as immediate past president on the board. With that, Tommy, you have ownership and leadership of the PCDO. Welcome.
Well, thank you. And I just want to say I won't keep you long. I appreciate the hard work that's gone into this process. I absolutely want to make sure that I thank you for all the hard work that you've done. I know you're involved with any number of things that are leading in the direction that has been expressed here this evening about your hard works on diversity and inclusion, and saying that we stay up on things that are impactful and meaningful for our, not only our community, but across this county and this state. You jumped in and took over at a time when everything was a little upside down, not only COVID, but just the whole election process. And last season being a good example, how you rallied the troops and partnered with the PDMC to make sure that we get the vote out and all our candidates got elected. But really, just thank you for your leadership. Jeffrey and the nominating committee and all the other committees that are represented, and I'm not going to name names because I don't want to forget anybody, but thank you all. Thank you for this vote of confidence. And I would say to all of us, that we got work to do. You know, for as much work as we put in to the last election cycle last season, we got work to do, big time. All right, and PCDO has been at the forefront of supporting candidates, going out, doing the work to support these candidates to get Democrats elected. And this year, I know you hear it every election year, you know, this most challenging election we've had in your lifetime. Well, guess what? That's true. You know, we need to maintain our advantage in the Congress, and we need to work towards an advantage in the Senate. We need to support those candidates that are out there doing this hard work. There are a lot of issues that we've been fighting for 50 years or more, like voting rights and things of that nature. And the good work of the leadership team here, the advocacy committee, and all that have keep these important things in mind. So I'm not going to get long-winded. I'm humbled by this opportunity. I certainly thank you all for this opportunity, and I look forward to this year. It's you know, it's an exciting time, a fun time. We're going to get this done. We're be victorious in 2022. Actually, thank you so much again for this. I do want to pass the ball over though to my right hand guy who kept me standing. And one thing on a personal note too, as a matter of fact, this past year, Princeton demonstrated to me and my family what it means when you hear it takes a village. I lost my son, and the rally and support that I've gotten from this organization and those on the municipal committee and this community at large kept me and Joanne and our family going, and we certainly appreciate it. And I know that he would be excited about this current political movement that we're in. So thank you all. Thank you all. And I want to call on Owen to chime in here. He has some information for y'all that's part of the work that we do.
Well, thank you, Tommy, and congratulations again. And thank you for your leadership of PDMC over the past 2 years. It's been you know, trying time in many ways, but you know, you really pulled everybody together, and we've done I think a tremendous job. You know, I was thinking the other day that Princeton is every elected official who represents Princeton, from President of the United States on down to the newest council members, is a Democrat. And that is something that you know, doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen without a lot of hard work. So on the, you know, for the PCDO and the PDMC, really great job, everybody, but we can't let up. We have to make sure that we keep going. So I just want to ask Tommy for a couple of minutes so that I could announce that we do have some openings on the PDMC, on the Princeton Democratic Municipal Committee. We will have a second vice chair opening according to our bylaws. Since Tommy has resigned to take over PCDO, I have stepped up to the position of chair, and Patty Saul will be stepping up from second vice chair to vice chair. So we have a second vice chair position open. I've had some expressions of interest so far, but I want to widen the net. I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to contribute, has an opportunity to serve. So I'm going to ask the PCDO communications group again tomorrow to send out a notice just about the vice chair, because maybe little known, but the chair and the vice chairs of the PDMC do not have to be elected members of the board. They can be appointed by the board itself. So again, I want to make sure that everybody has a chance. And also, not just to fill that position, but we have 4 vacancies in various districts. Surinder, one of them is in your district, as a matter of fact. So I'm going to be calling on you in the next couple of days to try to find somebody to help fill that area. But and then in June, in the June primary, we're going to have to all the members of the PDMC are going to have to run for re-election. And I would like to see a couple of competitive races in there. I'd like to see a lot more people trying to represent the Democratic Party in Princeton. So again, I'll be sending out something in the next couple of days that I hope will lay this out and maybe get people a little more excited. And I also want to thank Mayor Janice Mironov, our Democratic chair for the Mercer County, for all the support that she has given us, and for her commitment to an open process throughout the reason. So thank you very much.
Steve has a question in the chat.
Okay.
Thank you, Owen. I certainly appreciate, I can't say enough how stellar the support you have given to the organization has been. And again, you echoed my considerations for Surinder. You know, what he said was right on the money. It's been a mission that has been part of PCDO since the time that I've been involved. I know with the past presidents of this organization, they've all tried to focus on diversity and inclusion. I know when I was brought into this process, one of the things that I was asked about in terms of what could I bring to this process, and the outreach that I got from Gene and John Durbin and the guidance was all truly focused on how we can do this better, how we can be more inclusive in this process. And again, I also echo those same sentiments to Mayor Mironov. She's been wonderful in her response to the questions that we have put forth to her. She's been a guide and a mentor, you know, in this process, and I truly thank her. And I want to thank my rock too. Joanne has put up with all the hours and the pushes and given direction to this process. Thank you all. I certainly appreciate the outpour of support. And again, let's get at it. We got work to do. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tommy. Good night.
I think
Wait. Joe Butler has her hand up.
Joe, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
that's all right. I was just going to ask Owen, do we still need a male and female from each district, or did they get rid of that language? I know it was under discussion.
I believe that they have gotten rid of that language, and that we have currently a couple of districts that are represented by 2 males, at least one that's represented by 2 females. And you know, I would still like to maintain a balance throughout as much as possible, but you know, we will let just encourage everybody to run and see how it works out.
Great. Thank you.
All right. If there are any other questions from the floor to the membership? Again, congrats on all the work that you did and all the support for our last cycle. But the issue and the challenge that I posed, and we got work to do, was not just for these the executive board members and the committee members and elected members, but more importantly for you, the membership. All right, we're representative of the voice that you have. We need to hear from you. We need your work and your time and your hours. And I'm thanking you up front because I know you're going to meet the challenge and take this on, and we can do a fantastic job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, I will. Do I need a motion to adjourn the meeting? If so, I will entertain such.
So moved.
All right, needs no second. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all. Take
Thank you,
care.
everybody.
Good night. Good luck, Tommy.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abshin. Thanks, Tommy.
Thank you, Asheen.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Tommy.
Afshin.
Thanks, Owen.
Thanks, Sheen and Tommy.
Thank you.
Thank you.